your average dude playing video games, I think. I was just lucky to, like, I played a lot of games, and I was just lucky to play one game a little bit more than others, and then end up really liking it, and then that got me somewhere. Yeah. So, like, I played a bit of Pro League. I casted a bit. I've done a little bit of coaching, a little bit of analyst stuff. Yeah, I'm just your average dude, just a little bit more lucky than some, I guess. Oh, every day. I don't like. I think if you're a competitive player, you'll always miss playing competitive when you stop, no matter what makes you stop. There's just something with the whole build up, doing strats, the games, like both the wins and the losses. Some of the more memorable moments are the losses. Yeah. When you got that close to winning, right? You almost had it. I think those are equally as important as the ones you won, to be honest. So yeah, I definitely miss it, but I don't think, like, hindsight, thinking back, that I would change it, because it also allowed me to go to E3, Gamescom, Invitational, Major, all of that as a guy working there instead of being there as a player, and it was really interesting seeing it from that perspective as well. So I think I've been lucky to have both the pro player perspective and the community and the little bit of the inside info as well. I guess it's just seeing everybody at the, like, for me, that's probably what matters the most. It's seeing the people at the events that you meet, you know, a couple times a year. Yeah. But everyone's so different, and everyone has this one thing in common, which for us is Siege. But otherwise, we're like vastly different people, right? It's really good to catch up with those. What's the worst thing about casting? Oof. I think what most people would find the worst would be like community pressure. If you mess up, you're messing up in front of a lot of people. But I also think that the people that go into casting, or the people that like accept the job, are kind of up for it. So like you need a bit of thick skin. I've been fairly lucky though. I haven't gotten a lot of bad feedback, and to be honest, you should sometimes listen to the bad feedback, because there might be a little bit of truth to some of it, right? Like if you throw away all the mean words and actually listen to what people try and say, you might learn something. So I guess that's what people would find the worst, but I don't really see it as a downside. So I think there's two groups of people that watch it. There are people that will watch the game and not really listen to anything. They just want to see their favorite team play that one match, and then that's it. And then there's people that like deep dive into everything, right? They'll watch a lot of the matches. They'll actually try and keep up to date with what's going on. For those people, I think casters and analysts are really important, because you'll be able to break down some things with a little bit of background info that you can't break down from home the same way. We have access to, we can talk to the teams, we can speak with the coaches, the individual players, ask them questions, just between us as like the analyst desk or the caster desk. There's a lot of, you know, there's quite a few years of esport experience in that group of people. So for anyone new coming in, I hope that we do our job good, which would be to make it into something that you as a new viewer understand. Like if I can make a guy watch a match and understand what's going on, then I've done my job. And I think that's the most important thing.
So do you think that's indeed, it's the most important thing that you do, like the new group, like the people that watching it for the first time, or do you more intend of the more players that are already settled with the game?
I mean, of course you want to satisfy the hardcore viewer, the one that watches every single time, because those are the ones that watch every single time. But the sport is never gonna, or the scene, or whatever you want to call it, is never gonna grow if the new people that come in go in and look at it twice and then think, I have no idea what's going on here. And then they don't come back next time. Siege is a very difficult game to spectate and view if you don't know a bit of the background info. There's a lot of other titles out there. I mean, if you were watching Rocket League or CS, it's very easy to watch. But Siege, I mean, you have a guy getting shot from, you know, the top floor down to the basement, and next time someone gets shot halfway across the map through 3 walls or something. if you don't have someone explaining and helping with why are these operators being picked, why are they playing this bomb site, what's going on here, what do we expect to see next time, just even the predictions, even when the predictions are wrong, it gives people something to look at during the match. And I feel it helps telling a story as well. To even for the hardcore viewer, it helps tell a story that makes the game more interesting. You have an underdog and they start coming back and winning that match, or we can refer to Invitational, EG versus Penta back then, where they're up like 2 maps and then start losing 2 maps and then come back again, right? Like that's the amazing thing when we see these changes, the stories, all of that, and hopefully we can help make that a little bit more digestible for the viewer.
Do you think, on top of that, that it's hard to pick up the game for a new player?
I think it's easy to learn how to master. It's not difficult, you know, jumping into a game and then picking an operator and running around and kind of understanding what you have to do. But with, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 hours, however many I have, I'm still learning new stuff every week. So either I'm terrible, which I hope I'm not, and I'm pretty sure I'm all right at the game. But if I'm still learning new stuff with that many hours, then it's got to be difficult if you come in as a new player. At least now we have a bigger catalog of things you can look up in terms of learning. There is a lot of streamers, there's a lot of YouTube videos and guides, and all the competitive play, Pro League, Challenge League, and even Go Forest for that matter. There is a lot of stuff to learn for new players. So I guess it's easier learning it now than it was a year ago. But then again, the game's also getting bigger. We're getting more maps, more operators. It keeps getting more advanced each season. There's one more interaction to think about. So it's definitely not easy to get into. But if you want to get into it, it's more than possible. I'm normally up at around 6 in the morning at events. Quick breakfast, then we'll normally talk like a little bit about the day coming up, maybe do a bit of rehearsal or something. Most of the stuff is prepped from at home. Like, we know what matches have been played, print out the stats, all of that, try and keep up to date with those. Normally the flights are quite far away from me because I'm in Denmark, and you know, a lot of the events are in US, Canada. A bit like, it's quite a flight time, so there's a lot of prep you can do while on the flight. But I'd say from around 6-7 in the morning until around 9-10 at night, that's work time. So everything you don't see on stream, we're busy doing something else. I think that has to be Invitational on, honestly, on rehearsal day. Walking in there and just seeing the size of everything. That was mind blowing. And then the day we go live, we come out and we get the info that like there was 100,000 whatever watching. Then at the end of Invitational, we get the info that there was 386,000 concurrent viewers when we were peaking. Like, knowing that was crazy. That kind of blew my mind. Because that's, you know, that's a reinsurance that it's worth putting time into. The game's getting big. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that care about it. There's a lot of people that watch. So it doesn't feel like you wasted your time. I mean, surely it doesn't feel like you ever wasted your time if you enjoyed what you're doing, but knowing that other people share the same, that's good to know. I never really had a plan, to be honest. I kind of just went with whatever was there. The only reason I got into casting, I think, was because I was free. Like, I wasn't playing Pro League at that moment. I just started playing ranked, to be honest, and then at some point I played with a few guys and they asked if I wanted to play on their team a bit, and I scrimmed a few times with them, and they were apparently in Pro League. I didn't really know what that was to start with. So I ended up playing with them, and then, you know, all the roster changes happen and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we're actually a pretty competent team, playing fairly well, making it to finals once and getting some okay results. We were far from the best, but we were all right. We had a good chance. And the only reason I really stopped that was because I got invited to go to E3 the star player program. I wanted someone to take my spot so I could go and do that, because that's not something you normally get to do by yourself otherwise. And then instead of, you know, coming home from E3 and then wanting to get your spot back, because it's kind of weird asking someone to step up and take your place and then come back. Okay, I'm home now. Now it's my turn. So the guy who stood in for me instead just stayed on the team, and I stood as a stand-in for a while. Ended up then eventually saying that, like, you rarely need a stand-in. People are there. They want to play. They want to win, right? So I just thought, I'm just gonna, you know, jump out of competitive and then see what else is there. Then all of a sudden I got invited to do an event here, an event there, and then all of a sudden it's Atlantic City Invitational, Paris Major. Yeah, I never really planned for anything, man. Like, I just kind of went with it. Probably, if we say casters and Terabang, he's an interesting dude. We're talking players. Well, like, he's not a player, but Dissel from Fnatic. He's really good to have a beer with. He can take quite a few. Big Aussie bloke. He'll probably drink me to sleep. I think I look at it a little bit different than most people. For me, it's not so much if everything's perfect or in working order. I'm kind of used to there has to be like one bug or two bugs, otherwise it's not really Siege as we know it. There's got to be a little bit wrong. But every time a new season comes out, the meta changes, and it's like a race to try and figure out how to do things, like read the meta, what's going to happen. And I think that's one of the big things that keeps me interested in the game, because I never feel like I can reach a max in terms of learning stuff. So as long as it keeps coming out with new content and there's new stuff to learn, I think I'm gonna stick around, because it's like a brain puzzle to try and figure out what's the correct thing to do, what's the best way to deal with this problem or that problem.
And how is it as a caster? Is it like a reset button that they push, or?
I think that depends more on the players, to be honest. If they were to drastically change the meta, they could definitely catch a few casters off guard, because we just don't know the same stuff as they do. We don't know what goes on in the scrims behind the curtains before they start playing. But I mean, so far at least, it doesn't seem to be an issue for most people. And from an analyst point of view, at least, it's not much of a fear, because like your job is mainly to look at what's actually going on and then try and describe why that's happening. And it's always easier to look at something and then explain what's happening than it is to predict what's going to happen. So for me, it's not that scary. I could see it from, like, if you're doing color casting or stuff like that. There might be some new features in the game or new mechanics that you don't know, and seeing those for the first time during a match might throw you off, or give you the wrong impression of what the intent was. Damn, that's difficult. I want to know how Interro got his swagger and his beautiful style. There's a lot to learn from that dude. Yeah, fuck it, I'll stick with that. We'll go with that one.